Hey there, how's it going? Vladimir Donis here. So on behalf of the Haitian Tutors Podcast, I'm going to go ahead and be introducing some content to you on behalf of the Haitian Tutors platform. So essentially, this specific video is for individuals who want to start or grow a specific podcast. Now, these specific videos, I'm going to be doing a mix. I'm going to mix in some Creole. I'm going to mix in some English. They're not going to be 100% English, nor will they be 100% Creole. So, if you are a business owner and you have a podcast and you need to grow that specific podcast, or you want to start a specific podcast, this specific content will help you. So essentially, the thing that I want to talk about today is why you should turn your specific podcast listeners to email subscribers. At the end of the day, you should essentially have a path for your podcast subscribers. So the specific individuals that are listening to you, you have to ask yourself, because as a listener, being a listener is great, but at the end of the day, you want to be able to try to provide a specific service for those specific individuals. For example, this specific type of content that I'm sharing with you, I am sharing this specific content with you. Content sa Lapedo is going to give you some insights and is going to tell you some things you should consider if you want to start a podcast, if you want to grow a specific podcast. But at the same time, please help. You may say, Vladimir, thanks for the information, but how is it, sometimes how is it I'm going to be able to help you? And I do have a way that I can go ahead and help you, because at the end of the day, if all you do is just provide content, then you're not necessarily, in business. So think about a specific path for your specific audience. Think about a specific service that you're going to be offering those specific individuals, at the end of the day. All right. So your podcast should definitely have a specific path. So, for me, every single time I share content with you, I'm going to share helpful content with you, information but at the same time, I'm going to offer you some specific services, towards the end. I'm going to offer you an opportunity to go deeper. I'm going to offer you an opportunity to get more help. So you should do the exact same thing for your specific podcast, as well. At the end of the day, when you have a podcast, when you're sharing information on platforms that doesn't belong to you. For example, see podcasts on Apple or Google or whatever platform your podcast is for. Platform ça c'est pas pour lier. At some point, what happens is that, they're going to give you a lot of love, and you may be number one, you may be number two, but at the same time, that same type of ranking could be taken away from you. Let me kind of just give you an example. At some point, when they go in business, it was about dating, and one of the things that I did is I did something called search engine optimization, which means that I did a lot of work, and I optimized certain pages and certain keywords, and I had certain pages qui étaient arrivés numéro 1 sur Google. So, m'a regardé moi font paquet de travail moi fait puis tout, the page and the keyword came to be number 1 on Google. Donc, par exemple, moi t'ai une page qui était numéro 1 sur Google, il était fait à partir de 3 mois côté qu'il était numéro 1 sur Google. Et puis tout, un jour, moi, je regardais comme ça, et puis tout, page là, pas sous numéro 1 encore on Google. So all of a sudden, I had this page, it was number 1 on Google, it was no longer number 1 on Google, and all of a sudden, I lost that specific ranking. So tout travail, ça me fait pour page là, vous comprenez, il était numéro 1, après ça, m'ba page là, du tout, page là just disappeared. What happens is that Google made some updates, and those specific updates, based on those specific updates, my page was no longer qualified to be on number 1. So I was getting a lot of traffic. I was getting a lot of people that was coming to that specific page. And all of a sudden, I no longer had that specific traction. So, yes, the time that I had the business, things were good. But what if I didn't necessarily move those specific individuals over to a different platform that I actually own? Because the platform that you published your podcast on, you don't own it. So, Apple, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeart, whatever platform you have your podcast on, you don't necessarily own it. So if you don't own that specific platform, you may go from being number 1 on one of those specific platforms to being number 300. So if that type of change happen, you need to be able to have a way to still communiquer avec audience, because you've worked very hard, to be able to have those specific individuals be part of your specific audience. So if you work so hard, côté qui commence pour faire tout travail ça, ou buy toute information ça, and then you have all of this information, and all of a sudden, your audience is kind of just ripped from underneath you. So you need to be able to kind of just offer them more information in exchange for their contact information. Okay, so give them something that's going to allow them to go ahead and kind of just take the next step with you. Give them something that's going to be of value, and in exchange, you're going to go ahead and give them information. They're going to give you their email address, and once they give you your specific email address, if something happens and you go from, say, page number 1 to page number 200, at least you have these specific individuals' contact information, and at least you can go ahead and continue the communication process with those specific individuals. How do you do that? So this is how I do it. So for example, my specific audience, I have different audiences that I speak to, but one of the audiences that I speak to coaches and consultants. And one of the things that I said to them, I say, hey, est-ce que vous sont coach ou bien vous sont consultant, ou ta aimé utiliser vidéo pour attirer plus clients, mais on pas connaît qui ça pour dire. So sometimes give you a framework that's going to tell you exactly what to say in video, so that way you can attirer plus clients. All that I want you to do is I just want you to provide me with your name and email address, and I'm going to go ahead and send that information to you. So at the end of my specific episode, I can put that at the end of my specific episode. They're going to provide me with their email address. Now I have their specific email address, and now I have a different way to communicate with my specific audience in case something happens. Quand on vidéo ça, par exemple, I fait une vidéo ça on Facebook. There could be a point in time where Facebook show this to a lot of people, but at the same time, Facebook capable décider qu'il va montrer vidéo ça to other people going forward. However, si moi gagne on bagay yo email list, si moi gagne my audience information on email, now moi capable toujours communiquer avec eux, moi capable toujours envoyer email ba eux parce que I did the necessary things to get their specific email addresses, and I can go ahead and continue the specific dialogue with them. So think about a way that you can provide your audience with additional content in exchange for the contact information, because in the event that something happens with the platform, parce que platform ne sera pas pour lier, or something happens with your ranking, you still have a way to kind of just continue the dialogue with them and take them to the next step. All right. So growing email list. Now, if you need help with, growing your specific podcast, if you want to be able to optimize your podcast, if you want to start your podcast, if you want a way to kind of just attract more clients, as a result of you having a specific podcast, and you need help with that, what I've done is I have a link somewhere on this specific page. That link is going to allow you to go ahead and schedule a time with me, whereby we will outline a step-by-step blueprint that's going to allow you to either start a specific podcast if you don't already have one, or grow your specific podcast. What I mean by growing is I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and generate leads and then turn those specific leads to clients as it relates to your specific podcast. All you have to do is click on the link. There's a link somewhere on this specific page. Click on that link, and the link is going to allow you to go ahead and schedule a time, and we can go ahead and map out a step-by-step blueprint for you. Again, this is Vladimir on behalf of Haitian Tutors. That's it for this specific content. I'll see you in the next video.